How you doing, family? How you doing, family? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that like button. I like to first of all say this to Africans and African Americans alike. I want you to understand this clearly that the Europeans that roam the earth, their number one mission or their main objective is to wipe every black person off of the planet. It doesn't make no difference where you from. You can be from Africa, you can be from Jamaica, you can be from Brazil, you can be from Puerto Rico, you can be from Cuba, you can be from the Americans or the Americas, excuse me. It doesn't make a difference to them. So we cannot treat each other differently just because the Europeans, our overall enemy to all black people and all black life on this planet. We cannot treat each other differently just because the white European treats you better than they treat us. Africans and African Americans, you cannot base your relationship based on how good the white Europeans treat you. Because when push comes to shove, they can really care less about you or me. When push comes to shove, the white European can care less about the African or the African American. Because in his eyes, he sees you the same. Now, there is different reasons why he treats Africans different than he treats Americans. There's all kinds of reasons, and we're going to go through a couple of them. The number one reason why they treat Africans better than they treat Americans is because they have resources. They have gold, they have diamonds, they have material things. They have the things that they need in order to make their cars, their computer chips, their phones work, make their laptop work. So they're going to treat Africa a little different than they treat the black American because they need Africa. Even though they can care less about Africa, and even though they're secretly plotting on destroying the population of Africa, is going to be the end goal, because if they can destroy Africa and destroy the Africans that are inside of Africa, then they can walk right on in and take all of the resources without any repercussions, without a fight, and without any pushback. So let's make that clear, that we both share the same common enemy. No matter what part of the planet that you live on, black life will always be threatened by the existence of the white European. So it doesn't make no difference. And we as Africans and African Americans, we will be making a very big mistake if we base our relationships on the fact that one is treated better than the other. Because we all know that the Europeans have methods of separation. They have methods of divide and conquer. And how do they do it? By treating one group better than the other. By making you believe that you are greater than the other group. And this is what they do when they're dealing with the Africans. They tell the Africans, you are better than black people. These are just slaves. These are just people that are just living in our country, you know. These people don't matter. They're not important. But you are important, and they're not. So they try to drive a wedge between the African and the African American. Because if they do that, then they can move more strategically in carrying out their objectives and their number one agenda, and that is to divide and conquer. It is better for the Americans to keep the Africans and the African Americans apart for obvious reasons. That the Africans will be a woke nation once again if they indulge with the African American, because the African American is the revolutionary. We have a revolutionary spirit because we've been through more than the African. Our experience with the European is a little bit more intimate. I believe that black people know the European better than the African does, because we have had to deal with the worstest part of the European people. We have seen the bad and the good. And unfortunately, most Africans only see the good that white people display, but they never see the bad that's inside of them. That's why we have two different experiences. The African has experience with the good side of the European, which he basically transformed from one to another, something like a chameleon, right? When he's in the African diaspora, when he's traveling through Africa, he's smiling, he's bringing his white Jesus and his Christianity, and he's full of smiles and deception, for he can get close to the Africans and turn their leaders against them and perpetrate, certain leaders and people that have power in Africa for they can get their hands on the resources. So their approach is just different when it comes to Africans. When it comes to African Americans, their approach is different with us because we don't have all the resources that Africa has. And their relationship with us is totally different. But should that negate the relationship that we as Africans and African Americans have with each other? No. It shouldn't affect it at all. Matter of fact, if we are both smart, then we should come together for we can understand what's going on and make sure that the Europeans don't outsmart us like they have been doing for the last 1,000 years. Look at all the damage they have done in Africa and look at all the damage they have done in America. So I believe that the smart thing for us to do is to come together as Africans and African Americans and make sure that black people will be able to survive on this planet. Because if they are able to separate us, I believe that black life on this planet will be in danger. I honestly believe that. I believe that we as black people all around the planet, from the four corners of the earth, will be in trouble if the Africans and the African Americans can't get their stuff together. We're going to be in trouble. Because at the end of the day, white supremacy's overwhelming reach and overwhelming power and overwhelming authority will continue as long as they continue to be able to keep the diaspora separated. So we as Africans and African Americans and black people all across the globe have to unite and come together. No matter where you're from, if you're from London, if you're from Puerto Rico, if you're from Cuba, every black person across the world have to understand that we have a global threat that is thriving and traveling through the earth. And they are the Europeans. And their overwhelming power has to be met with the diaspora of unity, with the unity of black people all around the world. If we unify, they will not be able to continue to rule over us, and they won't continue to be able to dominate over us. So that is my take on this whole African versus African American thing, that we as black people better get our globalness together, because these people are globally. They don't make no difference where they're from. They could be from New Zealand, England, London, or American. They are united. That's why they're called the European Union. So white people are unifying all around the planet. And as black people, no matter where you from, African or African American, if you smart and you want to survive, you better do the same. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. And you know what it is over here. It's all about be one.